coming around again. Termination, all that we might have been. In a world of unbelievers, there is no way of getting across.
Welcome to the Discover Sasquatch podcast on the Untold Radio Network. Now join host and cryptid investigator Chris Reinhardt as he delves into the mysterious world of the cryptid phenomenon. From eyewitness accounts to scientific theories, we will explore the evidence and uncover the truth behind some of the most enduring legends together. Please subscribe, share the show, leave a nice comment, and give us a thumbs up. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, X, and remember this show is downloadable everywhere that great podcasts are found. And now your host of the Discover Sasquatch podcast, Chris Reinhardt.
Disclaimer. Content is for entertainment only. Listener discretion and responsibility apply. The network is not liable for listener actions or consequences.
Hello, 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 my friends in Sasquatch land. Discover Sasquatch is back at the Untold Radio Network studios. We are in charge, and we are at the helm for the next hour. And do we have a great guest for you tonight? We have Mr. Joe Pass, the Squatchin Cowboy himself, backstage at the moment in the green room, smoking cigars, signing autographs. Looking very forward to the show. I had Joe on the show when I just started off a while back. I think it was like my fourth show I ever did. He's a great guest. He has a great attitude towards the subject, and he's pretty straightforward. He's going to tell you how it is and what it is and what, how he operates. So that's what you need in this field. You gotta vet things. You gotta be sure, 100% sure before you come out and make the claim. So very happy to have Joe back in the house. He decided, I had him scheduled a little while ago, and he kind of just said he was done with it all. He's done with giving it up, but he's back, and we're happy that he's back. And tonight he's going to fill us all in a little bit about why he left. So we're looking forward to seeing how come he left, and now that he's back is all that really matters. But so we got that to look forward to later in the show also. So good evening, everybody. Miss Francesca is with us tonight. The Squatch father himself, Alfred Santoriga, is in the house. BF Bud. Good evening, BF Bud. Blue-Eyed Northern, of course, is running navigation for us tonight. Miss Diane Fowler is also running navigation with Babs. Good evening. Also part of the navigation team. Tennessee, Kentucky, Bigfoot. Good evening. Everybody's pouring in. Mr. Kenny Hess. Good evening, Mr. Kenny Hess. He is a new member to the Untold Radio Network. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, Sharon. Sharon's buttering up the guests before the show even started tonight. So she's right up there in the top of Joe's favorite list. So everybody's pouring in. It's going to be a great show tonight. Next week, before we go any further, I have the week off. It is work. So I will not be here next week. And then the following week, we have Mr. Roger Williams from Squatchin Holler. He will be our guest in 2 weeks from tonight. So that's enough for me. Thank you all for showing up and being part of the journey here. And let's bring out our guest, the Squatchin Cowboy himself, Mr. Joe Pass.
How the heck are you?
Good evening, sir. How are you tonight?
I'm all right, except these stupid allergies.
Yeah. It's that time of the year, though. Everything's going to start budding and blooming, and that's something we all got to deal with, right?
That's right. I want to say hi to everybody in chat. Thanks for showing up.
Yep. We got a good crowd. People are pouring in already, and so it's going to be a great show. So before we get started, I know most of the people in the chat know who the Squatchin Cowboy is. Good evening, Digger Dog is with us too. and know who the Squatchin Cowboy is, but I'm sure there's a couple people out there listening or just strolling by, and maybe you catch their attention. Give them a little bit of background on this, Mr. Joe Pass, please.
Born and raised around Dallas, Texas, 1960. That puts me at 65 years old. I grew up cowboying all my life. Rodeoed for 4 or 5 years or whatever it is, and discovered that there was better ways to impress women than riding bulls. And got married, moved down here to a place called Kemp, Texas, which is about an hour east of Dallas. Got married, had kids, and that put everything I had on the back shelf, and started driving a truck over the road, all 48 states. I've been in all 48 states, but I don't know much about them because most of the time I was driving straight through them. And then when the kids got older and out of football and out of school or graduated school, I retired and started doing this Bigfoot thing, and here I am. I got tired of seeing all the people on YouTube putting out these BS YouTube channels about Bigfoot, faking them and hoaxing them. And I said, I don't know how in the world these people have so many subscribers when they can see darn well that most of them are just fake. So I decided that me and Kenny would, or excuse me, my wife would hate me for saying that. Kenny and I decided to go do this squatching thing, and here I am. And my wife is the one that came up and said, because we was both wearing our cowboy hats, and she goes, there's the Squatchin Cowboys. And Kenny said, I don't know about that. That sounds too much like Brokeback Mountain stuff.
Well, I wouldn't have gone that far.
So she came up with a name, and I guess I've been doing this in late 2018 till now, and here I am.
So what got you into the Bigfoot scene? I mean, other than seeing the videos and you wanting to do it a different way, what bit you? What was the Bigfoot bite that got you hooked on researching for Sasquatch?
Well, I can't say that I believed in Bigfoot all my life, and the Patterson Gimlin film, I didn't see it till I was like 14, and it came out when I was like 13 or 14, I think it was. And I said, wow, man, there's one creature in the United States that they call Bigfoot. He's just up there in Northern California. And I think a couple of years later, The Legend of Boggy Creek came out. And I said, wow, that's over in Arkansas. That's just next door to me. There's 2 Bigfoots in the United States. And so I'd watch, Bigfoot videos every now and then. And I really wasn't into it that much. But me, Kenny and I, we're out bass fishing one time. We went back up in this creek, and we heard something, and I just said, wow, man, it's like a Bigfoot. And Kenny said, you believe in Bigfoot? And I said, well, yeah, don't you? He goes, I don't know. He said, I never really thought about it that much. So we just kept on bass fishing, and later on I said, let's try this. Let's go see if we can't see one, and we went up to Oklahoma at Honobi, which everybody thinks it's pronounced Honobia, but it's Honobi. And we camped out there for 6 days, and we didn't know what the heck was. I mean, we camped a lot, so camping was nothing big to us, but we had no idea what we was doing, what we was looking for. And it was supposed to be a cold front when it came up there. When we went up there, not cold front, but cool front, but it was like 95 degrees the whole time we was there. So we couldn't do much. I mean, it was just miserable, but we stayed there and had fun. And, we heard some stuff, but we couldn't really connect it into like a Bigfoot thing. And then later on, I came back, I started looking at Bigfoot reports and about that area, about Honobi, that, it's the Bigfoot capital of Oklahoma and ground zero and all that stuff. I came across this report about a hiker that was up at north of Tallahena in the Comanche Wilderness. And there's a hiking trail up there. I think it's about 35 or 36 miles long. He says about halfway through it, and a Bigfoot walked out in front of him, and he turned around and hightailed it all about 15 miles back to his truck and left. He wouldn't come back up there. So I said, well, I told Kenny, I said, let's go do that. Let's go up there and check it out. And Kenny was busy, so the wife and I went up there to check it out. And we came back and I made the video of it. I think it's one of my first videos. And a guy called me or contacted me named Keith Bethel, and he lives almost adjacent to the Tallahena State Park, which was right there. The Bigfoot Highway is right there beside it. And he says he's seen a Bigfoot up there when he was like 14. So we got to talking. He says, I got 3,500 acres up here. Y'all are free to come up here and do whatever you want to do. So I said, that's cool. I said, I'll meet you at Dollar General down there in Tallahena. So he took us back to his house, and, there's no way that we could have walked that 3,500 acres. There's no way. And he had a side-by-side. Now, I just met this guy now. I had the side-by-side. He had a side-by-side. And he said, here, take my side-by-side and use it the whole time you're here. So he was nice enough to let us use his land and his side-by-side the whole time we was there, and it was just fantastic. And he told the story of how his Bigfoot, like I say, he might have been 12. He said he was out squirrel hunting on his property, and he was riding a four-wheeler, and he was coming out, just nothing but logging roads up in there. And he come across almost to this creek, and all of a sudden this Bigfoot walks out of this creek, takes 2 steps across the road, and goes up the side of the mountain. And he had a single shot 410. He jumps off his four-wheeler and starts chasing that thing up the hill. And then he started thinking, what the heck am I doing, man? I got a single shot 410. This thing's about 8 foot tall, So he came back down, and now this is exact words he told me. He said, where that Bigfoot walked out of that creek across the road, he said it looked like somebody grabbed a poodle, dunked it in a bucket, and then slammed it down the ground where the Bigfoot walked. It's just big old wet footprints across there. And so we drove around trying to find a place to camp. This is the first night there. It was getting dark, so we finally settled on this place. There's only one road into this place, and one road out. Of course, there's some four-wheeler trails back in there because he leases it out during for muzzle loading season and deer season. I think it's in October. And we went up there the day after Christmas. And we're sitting there by the fire that night. I guess it's about, I don't know, we usually don't take a watch with us when we go out there because we don't want to keep track of time. We just leave everything. We have cell phones just in case, emergency. But we're sitting around this fire, and everything's just boring. And I said, I'm just going out there to see if I can't stir up some coyotes. So I went out there and did this woo, a real long woo. And sure enough, coyotes start busting out. They last about 5 or 10 minutes. And they stop. And then about 15 minutes later, up on this hill, about, I say 500 yards away from us up the hill, we hear this woo sound just almost like what I did. And then the coyotes start busting out. And then everything goes quiet. And all of a sudden we're just freaking out because Keith has got a bad hip. So he can't walk. We're probably about a mile from his house. So he can't walk up there. His dad's 80-something years old. He goes to bed when the chickens do. There's nobody else on this property but me, Kenny and I. I keep saying me and Kenny. And we're sitting there by the fire just thinking about what we just heard. And then all of a sudden, where we heard the sound come from, across the logging road there up the hill, we hear 4 knocks. I mean loud too. And it stops for about 2 or 3 seconds. And then 4 more knocks. And then Kenny's got this little recorder. And he'd never used it before. He's trying to figure out how to turn this thing on. And my mouse dropped on the ground. I said, what the heck is this? He's trying to figure out how to turn this recorder on. And then there was 2 more knocks. And what we think happened, when he swung 4 times, he stopped and got a better grip on the stick. And hit it 4 times and got another grip and hit it twice. And that night we never heard another coyote, frogs, or anything the rest of the night. We sat there till daylight by the fire with our pistols beside us. That's the first time that Kenny and I had ever been through anything like that. And earlier, I had this old hamburger meat, and I was going to set up the tent. And I said, Kenny, why don't you walk down this creek behind the tent here and put the hamburger meat out there and put your trail camera up there? And when he was walking back there, he said he heard a bunch of footsteps, and all of a sudden it was real thick, like briars and stuff, something running up the side of the hill, but he never did see anything, but he heard something running upside the hill. Well, he came back, and I was gone looking for firewood. And when I was done looking for firewood, that side-by-side don't have any lights on it. So I had this little flashlight about that long, those little bitty emergency flashlights. And I'm looking for firewood, and I found some cedar trees that have been knocked down. And as soon as I get off the side-by-side and I broke a limb, I hear boom, 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 like 3 big steps. And all of a sudden it just stopped. And I'm sitting there, it scared the crap out of me, to tell you the truth. And I'm like, whatever this is, he didn't run off. He just repositioned himself to look at me. So I jumped on the back of the side-by-side. Now I told him back to Kenny's, and Kenny's sitting there all shook about what he heard. And I think it's the same Bigfoot, but he went down the creek from where Kenny was to where I was. And every time we go up there, we hear something. Or I was up on the side of a mountain, one of the Cottamishi Mountains up on his property there, and there was this little creek running down the side of the mountain. And Keith doesn't have any kids, so there's no kids on his property. And I found a little footprint down by the creek about the size of my hand, and I got it on video. I had a Canon T3i camera, and I just got it, and I didn't know all the bells and whistles on it, so I thought I was taking pictures, but it was on video. But I stopped it in the video I made. I stopped it where you could see the small footprint about the size of my hand. And like I say, just that spot right there is a hot spot for us. And then we went on down another time, went down to a place about an hour west of Broken Bow. This place called Three Sticks Monument. And I don't know if you know Gary Spikes Jr., but he told me the story about him and his friends were camping down there, and he was sleeping in his truck. And he said this Bigfoot came up, and he heard something rattling on the door handle, and he looked up, and there was a Bigfoot looking in his window. And I ain't gonna tell you what he did, because I don't know if he wants me to tell it. But it wasn't nice. He hauled ass out of there, drove all the way to his dad's house with dirty pants. But anyway, so we went there, camped out the exact same place he did, and we went up there on the side of a mountain and just sat there with no lights on or nothing. And it was amazing, the stuff we heard coming down from off that valley. It was just, Oklahoma's just a hot spot for me. But I have found more tracks here, Bigfoot tracks here in Texas than I have up there. My wife has found a bunch more than I have.
So before we move any forward, let's backtrack a little bit. You guys were newbies to the game. I mean, you're just fresh starting off. You know, hey, we're interested in Bigfoot. How did you learn about the knocks? How did you learn that they howled? How did you learn? Were there certain people that you followed? Were there certain directions? How did you find out about the behaviors? Because when I first started, I didn't even know that there was actually people in the forest looking for them. You would just see the people on TV, and that's all I thought there was. Who are some of the people that you know that you followed when you guys first started in your pursuit?
Oh God. I don't know if Justin Cherpinski from Mountain Beast Mysteries was around then, but I watched him a whole lot. I think he hasn't had any videos lately, but I watched him a whole lot. Believe it or not, I watched Todd Standing. And what everybody says about Todd Standing might be true, but I think Todd Standing has actually seen some big, when he first started out, there's no denying that he has done his time out in the woods. And I believe Todd Standing had seen some Bigfoots, because he started this way before everybody else got into it. And I think his popularity went way up here because of his Bigfoot stuff. And then the Bigfoot thing started calming down a little bit. So I think he started losing views. And I think Todd Standing said, I need to do something to bring my views back up. So I think Todd Standing might have done some things that, might not be right. But I don't know the guy, but he was one of the ones I first started watching, and he got me into it a lot too.
Right. So what made you pick up the camera now? So now you're looking for Bigfoot. You're looking for Sasquatch. You got your partner Kenny. You guys got 3,800 acres to look at. You got that as a home base. You're right on Oklahoma border. You can go anywhere you got. Why pick up the camera? Why start a YouTube channel? Why do it that way instead of just going out and investigating?
Well, because I started watching a lot of YouTube channels, I'm like, that's bullshit. Yeah. I'm sorry, that's BS. And I just said, there's got to be some people out there. Back then I wasn't watching a whole lot of people, YouTube videos about it. But I said, there's got to be somebody out there that's telling the truth about this stuff. But, not everything that you see in the woods or hear in the woods is a Bigfoot. But if you got Bigfoot on your brain, sure, everything you hear and everything you see is going to be a Bigfoot, And I've fallen for that too. I'm guilty of that too. I've heard stuff and then when me and the wife was down in Oklahoma at Hugo Lake, this was about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. We heard something, and this is the way she described it. It sounded like a baby seal that had lost his mom. So I'm sitting there thinking, what? There's nothing out here in these woods that can make that sound. So when we got home, she goes on YouTube, starts looking, and found out that it was a mating call of a bobcat. So I just started thinking, I said, maybe I'm going to start a Bigfoot channel that doesn't say everything is Bigfoot or everything in the woods is done by Bigfoot. And it's grown to a pretty good channel, I guess. I've got a lot of faithful watchers. Most of them are right there in that chat.
Yeah, it's a great, you have a great lookout. It definitely needs to be done that way. Not everything is Bigfoot. I'm guilty of it too. Like you said, when I first started, everything was Bigfoot. Everything I seen, a tree leaning on a tree in the middle of a parking lot was Bigfoot. You know what I mean? As an example. But you grow and you progress, and watching stuff like you on your channel, you learn certain people to watch, you learn certain people to follow, and then you learn what's right and what's wrong. And I can only speak my opinion, but you don't have one specific spot. You like to travel, you like to go and see it all. Why is that? Why do you like to hop instead of just staying at that 3,800 acres and staying there? Why do you go, you go all over Alabama, you're in Oklahoma? Why is that? Why did you choose that path?
First off, I went to Alabama because Flat Rock invited me. Said, come on down and check this out. He goes, I want your opinion on it. So Joe Parker and Pat and my wife and we loaded up and moved to Beverly. Moved to Alabama. And had a fantastic time out there. It was great. And like I say, Flat Rock's got the best briefcase of evidence of Bigfoot of anybody. If you go to Flat Rock's place and you leave there not believing, something's wrong with you. That's just the way it is. But the reason I travel around, when I was driving a truck, I got to go to all these states, and I never got to stop and look around. And most of the time, I was just driving right through them. So the wife likes to travel too. So I just look on, like we decided to go to Mount Rushmore. We've never seen Mount Rushmore and Crazy Horse. So I said, well, I'll just look on the map of sightings along the way, and we'll just, we wasn't in no big hurry. So we just stopped wherever we could, and I went looking around, at places where people said they've seen them. And that's usually what I do. When people say that they've seen a Bigfoot, first thing I do is go on the map and look. If there's a water supply there, is there enough place for a Bigfoot to shelter in, hide or something like that? Then that intrigues me a little bit more to go to that place. But if I look up on the map and there's no water source around, I just don't, because Bigfoot's got to drink, unless they're passing through, like my latest video here. Her name's Becky, down in Rye, Texas. She was coming home from work, and they live pretty close to the big thicket. And if you know what the big thicket is, it's a thousands of acres, nothing but woods. And then there's Sam Houston National Park, David Crockett National Park, and Angelina National Park. And then on the Louisiana side, it's Sasquatch. So that whole area in there is a hot area for Bigfoot. And so I said, well, this sounds might be legit. So I went down there and talked to her. What I think happened is that Bigfoot, I said it came from the north, it was headed south, and she was coming home from work, and she pulled up to the train tracks and stopped and looked both ways. And when she looked off to her right, she seen this. She didn't know what the heck it was. She said, creature. It took one step over the train tracks and walked off out in the woods. And I think it was headed on down south and to the big thicket. Now, I measured them train tracks. If you go watch the video, I measured them train tracks, and them train tracks are 63 inches apart. So, and she said it was twice as wide as me if I turned sideways. And that's a lot because I got a big gut on me. But I think her sighting was legit. And I went down there to check it out. And I concluded that she actually seen a Bigfoot cross that track.
Can you tell the difference between a BSer and a real someone who's telling you the truth?
Yeah, most of the time they won't look you in the eyes. They won't look at you. They're always like maybe look off to the side, or you always ask the same question twice in a different way. And if they don't give the same answer, or if it's not close to the same answer, sometimes when you're talking to somebody, they might be nervous and everything. So that's why we talked to them before I even started the camera. We got to talk to them and got to know them, and everything calmed them down, and they were just had a good time once they sat down and started talking to me. I think I'm easy to talk to. But April, my wife, was asking all the questions. So, I just try to make them feel comfortable, and calm them down. Don't be nervous. I said, look, if you make a mistake, it's no big deal. I can edit it out. If you cough or sneeze or whatever, I can cut that out. Don't worry about it. Just go, just talk.
Right.
And she looked at April and I, and her husband did too. But her husband didn't see it. It was her and her 4-year-old kid were in the car. Sorry. But I think her sighting was legit.
Just to touch base on that water, I was talking to Flat Rock, I think, a couple of days ago, and he was going through a chart that he found that wherever there is the most rainfall for a season, the Sasquatch sightings go up.
I believe that.
The more water, the more Sasquatch sightings. I thought that was pretty interesting. He was
Well, you think I think down here in Texas in the South, I don't think the Bigfoots are as big as they are like up north. Because I can't see nothing that's covered with hair down here in 120-degree temperatures. I can see them up there like where you are, where you get a lot of snow and there's mountains and stuff like that, and they got to weather the weather, But down here in the swamps, like say 120 degrees down here, I don't think they're as hairy. I don't think they're as muscular. I don't think they're as tall as they are, like I say, up north out of the West Coast. That's just my opinion.
No, that's a good one. I agree with you. I agree. Farther up north too is where the real giants are. I believe that they're up in Canada and up in the Yukon territory. I think that's where the true giants are. What do you think? What do you think a Sasquatch is, in your opinion? I mean, everybody has their own opinion. What Sasquatch? What's Joe Pest's opinion of a Sasquatch?
A flesh and blood animal. I don't. Like I said, just my opinion. I know some people are not going to agree with me, but I don't think they go through portals. And there's some stuff about it I don't understand, like a trackway. I found trackways, and all of a sudden they just disappear. I can't understand that. I just believe flesh and blood. I think it's just an animal. And some people say that don't ever shoot one because it'll just make you mad. Now, I think my Ruger 45 ACP 1911, if I put 8 well-rounded shots into his chest, I think that's going to take a Bigfoot down.
Yeah,
I don't know. I've never shot one. I don't plan on shooting one. I carry a gun with me because of the hogs and the crackheads.
That's a good reason to carry them. That's for sure.
I fear other humans more than I do Bigfoot.
Yeah. Not even the hogs are worse than the crackheads. They're the ones you got to watch out
Right.
for. That reminds me of a video that Chris from the Trail to Bigfoot's got. He's got his trail cameras in the middle of the green swamp, in the middle of nowhere, and this guy walks up on his trail camera in total darkness. He has no flashlight. We can't even figure out how he got in there. I mean, that's scary. The guy was out of his skull, and he's drinking the water from the swamp. And it is the craziest thing you've ever seen. So the best thing about Joe is that you flesh and blood. That's what you believe. But you can, now you know me. I feel a different way. I feel a different way what they are, and that's my opinion. But me and you, we can sit down and talk. You're not going to talk about me. You're not going to call me names. I'm not going to call you names. We're going to talk about Sasquatch because that's what we enjoy. Whichever way and that's what's needed, and that's what's great about you. And you don't hold a grudge against anybody. You have your opinion, and you let everybody else have their opinion. So I applaud you on that, because not a lot of people that are in that group, the flesh and blood group, do that. So it's
unknown. I mean, it could be an alien from a UFO or something. Nobody knows for sure.
Right.
But that's just the way I feel about it.
Right. And I could be 100% wrong too. So
it don't bother me a bit how you feel, but that's just the way I feel.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
Until somebody proves it different, if somebody gets a video of a Bigfoot walking through a portal, then I'll probably start believing.
Right. I've never seen a portal either, so I don't even know if they exist. But with the government coming out now saying there's interdimensional travel and stuff like that, but again, there's no proof that Sasquatch use it either. So it's who knows. But again, I applaud you for being able to sit down and talk to people that have different beliefs, and that's what this is going to take to get answers. People working together that have different beliefs and throwing it into a melting pot and trying to figure it out. So
I do believe the only way that they're going to prove it's real is a body, though. But I don't care about proving it to anybody. I just want to see one, and I want to video it. And I want to show everybody.
Right.
I don't want to kill one unless they're attacking a friend or family or whatever. Yeah, I would shoot one, but I wouldn't just shoot one because I want to prove it's real.
What's your favorite? Where's your favorite place to go out of all the states? Where do you have the most luck?
Right now, down here in East Texas, but Oklahoma, going up in the mountains and stuff is just really sweet. I love going up in the mountains. I mean, there's not mountains like like the Rockies or nothing like that, but it's beautiful up there. Especially the southeast part of Oklahoma is just so nice up there.
That's what everybody says, the southeast. I've never seen it.
I've found so many tracks down here, and like when we went to Fairfield, the reason I went to Fairfield Lake, and people said, "Oh, there's no Bigfoot down there." It's Fairfield Lake. It's just a little state park lake, and I went down there, and a friend of mine, he told me a story. He was bass fishing on the lake, and he does not believe in Bigfoot. Matter of fact, he gives me hell every time we talk about Bigfoot. When I'm going to the insane asylum and stuff like that. and he was fishing. He went up in a cove, and up in this cove there was this big old tree that was down, big tree. And he said there was something black behind this tree, and it had its arms like over the tree, and it was going like this. And he said he tried to, yell at it and never moved. So they went on back, went fishing another cove. They came back about an hour later, and that black thing was gone, whatever it was. So that fired up my curiosity. So the wife and I started going down there, and we're going down. We went behind the lake, where it's just mostly ranch land and woods. Not very many people live back in there. So we was driving down these old dirt roads, and my wife looks out this window, and I'm looking out that window down at the ditch, because it's on a rock road. The only place that you can possibly see a track is like in the ditch. And she says, "Stop, wait a minute." I stopped, and that's when she found the 5 tracks, and they were 3 different sizes. And that's in my video too, if you want to see a creature from Fairfield Lake, if you want to go check them out. And then we've gone back, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, and every time we go out there, we find a track. We just go out there, park on this back road that just goes, there's nothing but farmland and woods, no houses around. We just park out there about midnight, 1 o'clock, just sit there in the truck and just listen. And sure enough, we're sitting there, and off to the pasture across the road from us, we hear 2 howls. And my wife goes, "Oh my," she said some other things, but one cow, one coyote. I mean, I know what coyotes sound like, and some coyotes have some low tone voices. Wasn't no cows around. I know the cow sounds like I grew up around cows, and that's the only 2 things it could have been. And I checked them off the box. Nope. And like I say, every time we've been down there 4 or 5 times, and every time we've been down there, we found something or heard something. And that's just about an hour south of my house.
Right. I think someone's trying to get a hold of you.
I don't know why they're on here. I get these alerts all the time.
So you were telling me earlier before we got your wife wasn't always a believer, but there was a certain place that she went and had a certain interaction that she had that made her a believer. You want to talk a little bit about that?
That's when we was invited down to Flat Rock's place. We was down there with Joe Parker and Pat Harrison, my wife and I, and Flat Rock. I think his brother was in the house too. And it must have been, I don't know, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, because we'd all went to bed. Joe and Pat had their tent over pretty close to us, and they was in their tent, we was in our tent, and I went to sleep, and all of a sudden April wakes me up. Joe, she's shaking me. You hear that? And I wake up, and I'm like, holy crap. And April hollers over at Pat, says, "Pat, you hear that?" And Pat goes, "Yes, I hear that." I think she woke up Joe too, the cracking. And Joe heard it too. But this, it sounded kind of like the Ohio howl, but it lasted, it seemed it lasted long enough for my wife to hear it. She woke me up, Pat heard it, and then Joe Parker heard it, and it was still going. So it lasted forever, and it sounded like the Ohio howl. If you don't know what the Ohio howl sounds like, it's on YouTube. You can look it up. But it sounds a lot like the Ohio howl. And that right there, my wife said that there's no way a human could have done that. No way. Even an opera singer couldn't have done that. And she became a believer that night. She never did not believe it. She just gets kind of like on the fence. She never really did pay no mind to it, It just wasn't a big thing for her.
How about you? What got you to believe? What in one interaction sealed the deal for you?
That one night in Oklahoma, when we heard those 10 tree knocks. We heard that howl first, then the tree knocks, and the howl, and some people said, "Oh, it's probably somebody out there chopping wood." At 2 o'clock, 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, in the dark, somebody's chopping wood. Not happening. And the next day we went up there and looked, and like I say, he leases his property out during October to go muzzle loading for deer. Just 2 weeks in October. The rest of the time, there's nobody on that property. He doesn't let anybody on the property. And we went back up there where we heard it. Of course, it's all rock. You know, the mountains are rock. We couldn't find any tracks. We drove around looking for, and I know some deer hunters are going to hate me for saying this, but when deer hunters are up in their tree stand and they drink a plastic bottle of water, they just kind of drop it off down on the ground and suddenly forget to pick it up. And campers, you know, they leave beer cans or whatever laying around. There's no water bottles, no campfire sites, no trash, nothing anywhere around where we heard those knocks. And like I say, the closest person around was Keith, and he lives, I guess, about a mile from where we was. And he couldn't get up there because he's got a bad hip. He can't walk. And his dad goes to bed with the chickens. So, and like I said, beside his land, there's other big ranches. And later on, I didn't get to go see this, but he calls me and says, man, you got to get up here. There's 2 ranchers beside, or right down the street from his house, that saw a Bigfoot walking across their pasture. And they called the police. And well, I don't think it was 2 Bigfoots. I just think it was 1 Bigfoot walking from one pasture to another, but the 2 different people I called. So that's for me and Kenny, and that Kenny was a skeptic too, because Kenny was on the fence about it. But that night when we heard those knocks and that one howl, like I say, I didn't feel like I was in danger, but I felt like I was up against the unknown. That's why we set up all night by the fire with our pistols beside us. We didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what was next. And we were surprised that anything at all happened. We wasn't really expecting anything, you know?
Do you think it's wood on wood? Do you think that's what they're doing it with? Or do you think they're doing it with their hands? Do you think they're doing it with their mouths? What do you think? Or is it all?
They do it with all. I think they do it all. But this, I could tell that this was, it sounded like a baseball bat hitting a tree. But whatever it was, I mean, you can go out there and hit a dead tree with a stick, and it makes a different sound than hitting a live tree with a live limb or something against a live tree. You can tell the difference because I've tried it.
Right.
And it sounded more like, tree against tree. But I think they do the mouth popping and the clapping too. And when we were down by 3 Sticks Monument, when we pulled up on the side of that mountain, Kenny says he heard something that's like a gorilla doing this.
Yep. Chest pump.
And I didn't hear it because we pulled up on the side and he was closer to the side of the mountain and he just turned the side by side off. And I come around. He goes, "You hear it?" I said, "No, I didn't hear it."
I have. It almost sounds like a motorcycle backfiring when they do it. It's like, that roar, and then you hear that.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
And we were sitting, like I say, we turned all the lights up. We said we're just going to sit there all night in the dark. And every now and then we turn the light on. But for Kenny to do this, Kenny is a deputy sheriff in Kaufman. For Kenny to do this, something's going on. We was up on the mountain and the valley was way down here, and we kept hearing some coyotes down there, but we heard something low pitched voice. And of course we heard that, Kenny said he heard that thumping. We hear something like coming up the mountain, like going back and forth like this. And Kenny reaches down there and pulls out his gun and puts it on his lap and pointing down that, because like I say, we had a little flashlight, but he was ready for, he thought something was coming up that mountain to check us out. And that was wicked too. Boy, you hear that thing walking back and forth across the trees. You hear it's back and forth. It wasn't like coming right up, like he was pacing back and forth. Right. But it kept getting closer and closer. And that's pretty strange, man, when you can't see down there and you hear something walking, and you could tell it was 2 legs. It wasn't like a deer or nothing. Of course, even a deer wouldn't come walking up the side of a mountain when there's people up there, And there is black bear. There is black bear up there, but black bear usually avoid people. They usually stay away from people. Now, grizzly bear and polar bear stuff like that, that's a different thing. But black bear will avoid people
Yep.
unless they're cornered, or you're messing with their cubs or something.
What's the closest you think you've been? I know you're still waiting for that close up sighting. What's the closest you feel that you've been to them?
When April and I were up at Hugo Lake, it's in the video Bigfoot in between, because I said Bigfoot in between because up in the Kiamichi Mountains, LaFleur County and everything, there's plenty of sightings up here. And then when it gets into Texas, it's Paris, Texas, and there's lots of sightings here. But nobody ever mentions Bigfoot in between there. And the Kiamichi River runs down the Kiamichi Mountains into Hugo Lake. So I said, well, maybe them Bigfoots are coming down from Kiamichi Wilderness, coming down here to Paris, Texas. That's where we heard the seal that was a bobcat mating call. Anyway, I tried to go down get closer to the Kiamichi River coming in, and I'm walking through the woods, and I come up to this clearing, and the grass was just a little bit taller than waist deep. And then this feeling hit me, man. It says, don't go out there. Just don't do it. Just don't go out there. You need to just turn around, go back. Don't go out there. But I went out there, and I was on my toes because, you know, a Bigfoot could be laying down out there, or a mountain lion or whatever could be laying down out in this tall grass, and I could walk right up on it, you know. And I got to the other side, and there was this big old tree laying down there. I stepped over this tree, and I saw something big and black, and coming out of the weeds right there, and it scared the crap out of me. It was the root ball of that big tree fell. But crossing that open path right there, it's just open path out there in the middle of the woods, I just had a creepy feeling. And I went on around, looked around for some more. And when I come back down to that open field, I just got this feeling. And you can see me in the video, I'm walking a little bit faster going through there. And once I get past that little pasture right there, the feeling went away. It's just something about that open field there.
Yeah. No, I think they project it, man. I think they project it at you. They put that in you. I think they can, I don't know how they do it.
I think I think that's probably the closest I think there's a Bigfoot right in that area somewhere.
Right. All right, so now it's time for the big question. Why did you give it up?
Oh, I thought said why I get married. Okay.
We're not going there. Going to the personal.
It's not personal. It's I got caught up in the YouTube algorithms, and I got so in my mind that I had to make a video. I mean, YouTube kept saying, you make this video, you're almost there to 4,000 hours. Come on, you got to do this. I started making videos that I wasn't proud of. And this Bigfoot thing was taking over my life. If I couldn't go out Bigfooting like this, I'd get angry and I'd take it out on the rest of my family. And I was having some health issues with my knees and stuff. But the main thing was I wasn't happy with some of the stuff that I was doing. And I wasn't happy with YouTube. And I'm like, I just didn't want to, I didn't want that hassle of having to think I had to put out a video. I put out one video a week, I'd go out one time a month, and I'd chop that video up so I have a video every week. And then they'd say something like, well, if you put out 2 videos a week, and I get your algorithms would go, you need to do this, you need to do this, blah, blah, blah. And I would try to do that, and that's all I would think about. All I would think about all day long. I wouldn't think about anything else but trying to put out a video. And it started interfering with my life, and I just said, I just had to get away. And I said, from now on, I'm not going to do that. Even though they sent me a thing today, which I twice since I've been doing this, I've been offered to get monetized. And both times I turned it down because I didn't want anybody to say that I was doing this for the money, which, you know, you don't make a lot of money doing this. So now I'm trying to get monetized so I can get back in it, but do it my way, not YouTube's way.
Right.
Like this video I just did about Class A Bigfoot sighting in Southeast Texas. I didn't chop that up into 4 videos. I just made one video, and that's what I plan on doing from now. Like just like one video, more like a documentary than 3 little shows, you know, or 4 little shows.
Yep.
Like Small Town Monsters. Of course, I won't do nothing like Small Town Monsters. Small Town Monsters. I don't. They got a lot of money or something because they make some really good videos.
They do, and they have like 15 people that work for them, and they have an
Yeah.
editor, and they have sound guys, and they have people that go out. They got it. That's the way to do it. You can't solo person. It's tough, plus especially if you're working, and it's just
Right.
it's tough. And family's always first. That's what I always tell everybody about Bigfoot. Never put your family behind Bigfoot.
And I did that.
Right.
And it started showing, you know, I wasn't like I said, I'm yelling at people, but they would know when I got pissed off. Even my grandkids, you know, called me a grumpy old man,
Yeah.
which I was. I could see.
You lost your swing. You lost your fun. You lost your out, because it is an out. The hiking's an out. Making the film, you enjoy doing the videos. That's an out. That's a hobby. It's you know, and if you get monetized, believe me, you get monetized, you get, I don't know, say you get 20,000 views, you're going to make $5.63. So whoever's telling you that you're doing it for the money, they have no idea what monetized on YouTube's all about. And then you got to pay taxes on that $5.63 at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So you're actually making $1.98. So it takes a lot of views, and it takes a lot of time, and it's just it is. I enjoy it. I enjoy it just as much as you do, but you just can't compete with, you know, the bigger things.
And there's no way in the world I could do this on my own anymore. I mean, spending my money just alone, because I'm on Social Security disability, and those ain't very big checks. And that's what I was using to go do all this stuff. And I want to get monetized now. And if it's $5 or $6, you know, that's a hamburger.
It's gas money. It's gas money.
A lot of people don't realize how much it costs to go do this. They think, oh, you're just going out in the woods, going for a walk. What does that cost? It's not like that, especially if you got a lot of equipment.
Yeah, no, you got cameras.
I don't have a lot, but stuff I do have takes batteries, you know, and batteries ain't cheap.
Yeah, no, nothing.
And then
cheap.
gasoline to go to the place, and then food. You got to buy. If you stay there a week, you got to buy food for a week.
Yeah,
But I'm not complaining because I love being out in the woods, and that's why I came back. I said I got to get back out in the woods. I got it, because that since I say retired. I don't say I quit. I retired. From that time I did that, I wasn't really happy because I wasn't out in the woods.
Mhm.
And after I got all my stuff, I said I'm not going to worry about YouTube no more. Forget YouTube. I'm much happier now.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Hey, everybody, we're going to open up the questions for the Squatchin Cowboy. So if you got any questions, all cap letters, we're already nearing the hour mark, just like that, at a blink of an eye. So what's on the horizon? Well, what do you got coming up? What do you got coming up this year?
Well, the wife wants to go to the mountains, like Colorado or something. She wants to go up in Tennessee, Smoky Mountains. She wants to go up in there. And there's a lot of Bigfoot signs that come out from Smoky Mountains. And like I said earlier, she wants to come up on the East Coast on your side. And she's got kinfolks or something like that buried in Virginia or somewhere up in there. But she wants to go all the way up the East Coast.
Yeah, come on up. Come in October when the leaves are changing. That's when you want to be up here because it's gorgeous.
Yeah, I've always seen pictures of it. But
Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous. And we got a lot of like snow and water, this rain this past year. So the foliage should be like really kicking by the fall this year.
right. But that takes a little bit of money. And that's another thing. My daughter's car broke down. We got in the hole. We had to fix that. So all the money that I was going to use for the Bigfoot we had to spend to fix her car and stuff like that. But that's just part of life. Stuff like that happens, but that takes away from getting back out in the woods. But I'm back now, but it's not going to be like before. I'm not going to have a video out every week. Just whenever I can get back out.
Right. We got a question from BF Bud and Angie. Why Cowboy isn't wearing his cowboy hat?
Because I'm kind of promoting my new T-shirt stuff.
Nice.
And I just sent Bud and Angie T-shirts today. See, look at that. Hey, that's a cool shirt right there. You can see through it.
I'm representing tonight. I got my Squatchin Cowboy shirt on.
And I think this chair right here, when I put my hat on like this, my hat hits the back of the chair. So.
Gotcha. So SoCal Squatcher says he highly recommends Colorado. It's amazing. The Smokies are really nice also. So thank you, sir.
Well, that's what we got planned. But I don't know when it's going to happen. My wife's a teacher, school teacher. So she gets out, for the 3 months in the middle of summer. So Tennessee. She wants to go to the beach and the mountains. So
nice. Tennessee, Kentucky. Bigfoot says, Cowboy, stop by Knoxville. We'll out you up in one of our Airbnbs. Love to have you.
Hey, that's cool. That sounds good. I like Knoxville too. Been through there a lot.
Miss Diane Fowler, do you plan to make another short movie anytime soon?
What kind of movie are you talking about, Diane? I'm just joking. You mean like the Josie Wales movies or anything like that? I don't have anything planned for that, but I had fun doing it. I mean, I had some really cool people help me do it. Keith Crabtree from Legend of Boggy Creek. If you don't know Keith Crabtree, he was the Bigfoot, or one of the Bigfoots in the Legend of Boggy Creek.
Discover Sasquatch made the movie.
Yeah,
I'm on one of the signs.
He said the costume they had, he said it looked too fake. So he went out in his pasture. I think he said it was a donkey. He cut the hair off a donkey's tail and come back and glued it on his head, then got mud, glued it on the front of the mask. So if you look and see him, I guess you see his hair hanging down. That's donkey hair hanging down, and he put mud all over the costume and everything to make it look more real. That's another one. I plan on going out there to his place and letting him show me around where the film was made. I think one of the houses has already been torn down, but one of the houses is standing, and he's going to show me all around.
That'd be cool to film all that. That'd be really cool.
You see that fingers up there? You see that? There's some fingers that come in through here. My wife making fun of me. Look, there it is.
There. Stone Picker asks, do you have any physical evidence, hair, plaster casts, or otherwise? Uh-oh.
As for cast, no, but I'll tell you, the first Bigfoot, the big print I found was down at Sabine River Bombs, and we had loaded up. We was about to go. I seen this area, and I said, "Hang on, I'm gonna take a walk out in there." And the Sabine River had flooded, and this whole area it's just kind of muddy, So I walk out there, and most of it was like ankle deep mud. And I'm going out there through this real thick bushes, briars, and poison ivy, and poison oak, and copperheads, and timber rattlers, and water moxkins, and everything else. So I know somebody didn't come out here and hoax this, because somebody's going to hoax it. They're not going to go out there and do this to put a couple prints in the mud. I was walking along, and there's a little hill there. It's not a very big hill, but I seen what looked like it slid. So I walked up there and looked, and there's a slide there, and then there was a footprint there that was 16 inches long, and there was another footprint up here that sloped. And I went off and left my backpack and my packing material, my plaster materials and stuff. I use that hydrocal mat, by the way. So we rushed home. We didn't rush home, but it was about an hour away. Get the packing materials, plaster stuff, head back the next day. Find the track, and the hogs would walk through it.
Well, I bet
that was a real bummer. I was really, and I practice this. Always go prepared, and I didn't.
Jay Fritz says, Joe, watch your latest video. You could tell Becky saw something for sure.
Yeah, I think she was telling the truth. I think she was legit. And there's some of the stuff that didn't get recorded that she was talking about. I mean, she told us how, and in the video, I reenact it. I mean, you go back and watch it. It's pretty cool reenactment, I think, of what I think happened. And I was going to get her to record. She was on the phone with her mom when she put up the railroad tracks, and I said I didn't get this one. She didn't press record on the recorder because she was holding the recorder, and she said, "Oh my God, Mom!" She started screaming. Her mom says, "What's going on?" She goes, "I saw a Bigfoot just fall across the track. Oh my God!" And she's like screaming at her mom. Her mom's like telling her to calm down and stuff, you know. And so that's just the way she was telling that story. I mean, and the way I reenacted it, you could see where that was, because it's coming out of the woods. It's real swampy on the north side, and it comes across the tracks, and it turns into woods, and there's a road. It's about 300 yards wide there, maybe. And then there's the main road, and the other side of the road, it goes back towards the big thicket. So I think she had a Class A site, and I was kind of jealous.
Was it a cedar swamp by any chance?
No, it was just a bunch of pine trees around it. And it looked like what it was. It looked like an old logging area where they cleared out a bunch of trees because there's stuff sticking up in there and just grass growing up in there, just real swampy area where they cleared out a bunch of trees. But it was standing in water.
All right. Well, you got any closing thoughts for everybody? We're going to let you get on with your night.
Go over and check out my channel. Watch the video all the way through. I need like 200 something hours to get monetized. So help a brother out. Let me get monetized. Let me get my, we'll just say $1.98 a month. Yep. So, and that's I usually don't get that many views. I usually stick around 500-600 views. I got some videos that are up in the 1,000, 30,000 stuff, but not many. I think some people get mad at hearing me. I think some people turn off because they think that I'm going to show them a Bigfoot. And I will if I ever see one, but I'm not going to fake it.
Right.
You know, a lot of people say they're going to go, "Oh, a Bigfoot jumped on the back of my semi-trailer," and all this stuff, and just to get people to watch their videos. And a lot of people have Bigfoot videos of people that ride into them, and they don't ever vet the story. Anybody can ride in, and they can read it on the air, and then they get 10,000, 100,000 subscribers. But us guys are out there doing it for real.
Right.
We don't get the love they do.
Well, I applaud you. I thank you. I enjoy watching. I watched the latest one myself. I love your approach. I love how you do what you do, and I love that you don't take sides. I love that you're willing to listen, and that's what this takes, people like yourself. So again, I really appreciate everything you do, and everybody had a great time in the chat room tonight. And again, so we had thank you so much. Thanks for visiting. Hang out backstage, and
All right.
I will be back there soon.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for showing up.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Squatchin Cowboy himself, Mr. Joe Pass. All right. What a great show. Thank you all so much for showing up in the chat room. Thank you all for keeping it nice and mellow in my chat room. Thanks to all the girls. I love you all for keeping things peaceful and quiet in the chat room. Again, in 2 weeks from Squatch and Holler, Mr. Roger Williams will be showing up. And don't forget to go on over to Joe's channel, the Squatchin Cowboy, his no BS search for Bigfoot, and subscribe. And while you're at doing that, subscribe to Untold Radio Network, and also go over and subscribe to Discover Sasquatch, because on April 22nd, which is 3 weeks away, folks, we are switching to Real American Monsters, and we are going off, and we are going to go and investigate the backwoods, and we are going to go and help people. We're going to go to haunted hotels. We're going to do everything. So please sub over there. I'm almost at 4,000 subs. It would be great if you guys could get over there. I'm only 20 something away. And let's make this happen. Let's make this happen for Joe. Let's make that happen for me. Let's make that happen for Untold. We work hard at this, and every little bit helps. So even please leave a comment here tonight. If you like the show, leave a comment, leave a like. That really helps the show. It doesn't cost you anything. It's free. It's free to like and subscribe. So please do it all over. Do it all 3 places if you could. So that's all I got. So thanks again for showing up. I love you all. And as my friend Larry says, get in the woods, people.
I'm trapped inside a fake reality. Better days will never come for me.